Welcome to Southern Sense Talk on Rumble. You are going to love Annie the Radio Chickadee Ubelis and her co-host, C.S. Bennett. You'll find them live here on Fridays from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Date Time. Check out their website at Southern Sense, as in commonsense.net. It's that easy, southernsense.net. So sit back and relax. They're informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey.
And welcome back to another adventure here on Southern Sense. Hey, we got ourselves switched. How did we do that? Oh, no, we lost your sound, Curtis. See, I switched your sides and now we lost the sound. Let's put us back. There we go.
What about back, now?
Yeah, we got the sound back. That's too funny. That is just too funny. Hey, folks, you're watching Southern Sense, and you just can't make this up. This is live. I'm your hostess with the least mostest, the Radio Chickadee, Annie, along with my co-host, the author, Curtis C.S. Bennett. We got ourselves a jam-up show here today, Curtis. Mark Tapscott will be joining us, and oh my goodness, is everything exploding in D.C. I don't know if the 15 minutes he gives us is enough to cover more than one subject.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. We were going to have Bill Walton, who has his Bill Walton show, but he got called into meetings all day today. So stepping in his place is going to be Kimberly Steele. She's the co-founder of American Made Foundation. And it's really interesting. It's how she gets other organizations to work together on different issues and to get things out like rallies and so forth. So it's going to be a lot of fun talking to her. And about all the stuff that's going on in D.C., holy cow, everything is exploding. I'm telling you.
Talk about lawfare. Now we got judge fair. You know, I find it interesting that there's a possibility that Trump wants to take this course. He wants to have this fight right now so he can get this established from the start. You know, who's in charge? Is it the judges or the president who's running this country?
Yeah, who's running the executive branch? Is it a judge or is it the president? We've got a lot to talk about going into that issue also. There's more to the story that a lot of the media is not telling you. Doing a little delving in, we have come up with some new items. And there's a author that has a new book out. Her last name's West. It's a series of essays, and she's linking Judge Chutkan and what's that other one begins with an N to the Communist Party.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're wondering what is the affiliation of some of these judges? Some of them have family members that are working openly on the left in direct confrontation with President Trump and his policies, and they're not recusing themselves from the cases that they're being handed. It's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the background. And some of these judges have direct ties to the January 6th cases.
Oh, yeah. What I don't understand is how we can have a communist or socialist in office or as a judge, and they take an oath, you know, to abide by our Constitution.
That's it's the infiltration of the United States. And Lenin said that America will fall if you topple it from within. And that is what we're looking at. That's what we're dealing with. They're attempting to usurp the American Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, all of that, what we stand for as Americans. And it's not your gender. It's not the color of your skin. It's the ideals in here that our founding fathers established. And on a side note, Trump put out an executive order today. Sunday, believe it or not, will be the 250th anniversary of the Patrick Henry speech, "Give me liberty or give me death." And we're going to discuss that speech towards the very end of the show, because we're going to end the show a little bit differently today than we normally do. A lot of things I was thinking about as I was watching and reading the words of that speech are so real and vibrant today. Just take the word British out and put in a couple of different words there, and it fits what's going on here today. I mean, it was chilling, very chilling. But with that said, those that watch the show know that we start off each and every show with a dedication to the fallen hero. And recently I've been doing a lot with officers, law enforcement officers down in the line of duty. But that's not to forget that there are others out there that do fall in the line of duty. And today's dedication is going to go out to a firefighter, Firefighter John J.R. Gaudet, who died on February 12th of 2025 when a wall collapsed at the scene of a fire he was battling with the Binghamton Fire Department in New York. And this is today's dedication.
And thanks for joining us here at 6. I am Atria Mineshny.
And I'm Nicole Long. We begin tonight honoring the Binghamton firefighter who made the ultimate sacrifice.
Today, family, friends, and first responders came together to celebrate the life of a hero taken too soon. 12 News' Kevin Quinn has more on the sorrow and the smiles of John J.R. Gaudet.
Hundreds of mourners gathered Wednesday morning at St. Thomas Aquinas Church in Binghamton to pay their final respects to a fallen hero of the community. 40-year-old John J.R. Gaudet lost his life while knocking down a massive fire last week along Main Street, the city's downtown, when, according to officials, a wall collapsed.
U.S. on the Binghamton Fire Department Mayday has been declared on Operations 3 West.
Gaudet was taken from the scene to Wilson Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Fellow firefighters responded to the church not as a call to service, but as a call to let JR's family know he was much more than the man who signed up to protect the city. Comrade Chris Mallory says being a firefighter didn't describe JR as a whole.
JR was more than a co-worker, more than a friend. He was a model firefighter and paramedic, but beyond that, that was just a small part of JR.
Close friend Patrick Dickerson lamented the loss of the former Bearcat who, through coaching, brought smiles, kindness, and a love for sports into his own home.
He was passionate for any child that entered his life. JR wanted the best for each and every one of his young athletes out on that field. He never played favorites. He had a love of the game and a love of teaching the next generation. Lacrosse is the medicine we need, and we need it now more than ever to heal and grow together.
A setting of sadness hung over the pews, but it was laughter that cut through the clouds as JR, according to Lieutenant Ryan Herbin, brought to light.
It was when JR and I came up with the idea to start a rickshaw business on the west side of Binghamton. Just two guys trying to get paid to work out. It never took off, but it gave us plenty to laugh about over the years at the firehouse.
Binghamton's Mayor Jared Cram remarked on a shining moment from this past weekend when dozens of first responders showed up to support JR's son Charlie at his basketball and lacrosse games, showing that JR may not be with us, but there is family in every corner of the community.
The Binghamton Fire Department has suffered a devastating loss. Because of you, the past few days have not just been filled with profound sadness, but by moments, courage, resolve, and togetherness.
JR Gaudet leaves behind his wife Felly and his 3 children, Charlie, Vanessa, and Mikey.
Rest easy, brother. Take it from here.
Kevin Quinn, 12 News, Broome County.
Let it be said, when we finished this race, we kept them free, we led with grace. Let it be seen, from sea to shining sea, beautiful America, living our legacy. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh,
soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us be known as people of honor, humble and bold, faithful through fire. Let us hold firm to our convictions with wide open hearts, eager to listen. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us make room. Let us reimagine welcoming voices with true compassion. Let's craft a world with hopes and dreams, challenges known, and those still unseen. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us be sure when our time has come, we gave them hope, we made them strong. Let it be said when we finish this race, we kept them free, yeah, we led with grace. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let it be said. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation.
Okay, and we're back. You're watching Southern Sense Live up on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X. We're up on Rumble, Substack, and we're here and everywhere else. Also, you can catch the rebroadcast up on Buzzsprout also, and that gets sent out to like Spotify and iHeart and iTunes and everywhere else. So we're all over the place. I'm your hostess, Annie, the radio chickadee, or what? Not forget about the radio part, just the chickadee now. Along with my co-host Curtis C.S. Bennett. Curtis, wow.
Oh yeah.
That was really touching. I mean, I just cannot imagine the horrors of having a collapsing wall on top of you. And oh, geez. So my heart goes out to the family and friends of a firefighter, John Gaudet. Oh man, where do we start the rest of this day? Oh, I want to start off with, if I find inappropriate things posted in the chat room while we're on air, I will delete. If it continues, then the individual will be blocked. And that said, I will not tolerate disrespect. I don't do it on your end. Don't do it on mine. I thank you very much. Anyway, as you were going to say, Curtis. Go ahead. Did you lose it, Curtis?
Oh, I was going to say it was a wonderful week for two stranded astronauts.
Oh man, that was absolutely amazing. Seeing them finally come down after 9 months. There's no excuse for them to have been up there that long. I mean, it was a political move, pure and simple, and that's my personal opinion. You may agree with it or disagree with it. Tough. Anyway, there's no reason for them to have been up there that long when Musk said he was ready and capable of bringing them home. And that is what he did. Matter of fact, there was executive order signed today, and Trump with Pete Heskett and a room full of people were there. And they unveiled the new F-47. And during the questioning and answering afterwards, one of the reporters asked him, he said, at this point, NASA's not giving them any compensation because they're on a salary. Yes, it's a six-figure salary, but you're risking your life or something like that. My opinion, the military should have a higher salary than they have right now, as well as teachers. I'm sorry. I mean, some people are not being paid enough for the hard work they do. And there was going to be no compensation whatsoever. Now, you're up there for 9 months. Gravity here on Earth helps you swallow food, helps your circulation. It helps with many things, keeps your muscles toned. You're up there 9 months. You lose muscle tone. You have to relearn how to swallow your food. There's a lot of things. It's 2 to 3 months of intensive rehab they're going to go through. And you're going to tell me that you're not going to do anything special for them outside the rehab? Just shake their hands, say, thank you very much, have a nice life? That's not right. So someone asked Trump about that, and he said, if no one else does
I think that's going to change.
He's going to come out of his own pocket, he said. He would pay out of his own pocket if that does not happen. And, kudos for that. They deserve compensation for that. That hard work. Every astronaut deserves something special when they come back down. And if they don't make it back down, their family deserves something special too. We asked them to go above and beyond. No pun intended. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I wonder who's over NASA. It's got to be somebody has to be over NASA.
If someone does know who the new head of NASA is, let me know. That's interesting. I should know that. It should be a very easy question.
Because Trump should have some influence over the agency.
This is a good question. I'm typing in who's running NASA.
Science and technology. Maybe we should put Musk in there.
Current administrator of NASA is Janet Petro, and she has been in that role since Inauguration Day. So Janet Petro, I don't know anything about her. Before her was Jared Isaacman. And it's interesting who she is. She was sparked by an early age by her father's work in Chrysler on NASA projects. And her family relocated to Florida. And actually, she seems to have been from a young age involved with and interested in NASA. Interesting. That's very interesting. All right, that's it. I just do this, but I just had to do this now. Block the user. And it's a shame. It happens to be a family member. And to have a family member do that to you, that's not right. Anyway, just bear with us, folks, as we try to get our act together here. One of the things we started talking about, and which we'll probably talk with our guests, I'm waiting for Mark Tapscott to call in. He should be calling in about a couple of minutes. One of the things that was released were the JFK papers. And that's a big thing. I mean, that is blowing wide open a lot of things that we suspected and thought were true, but now they're proving to be true. Unredacted pages are being released. It's 8,800. 8,000 have been
I
originally
don't
released
know. I keep hearing.
today.
I keep
Keep hearing what?
I keep hearing some people say that there's nothing to it. There's nothing that we're going to find out that we didn't know already or was out there. And then I hear other people saying, well, we need to wait. It's 80,000 pages or something. So I don't know what to
Well,
think.
there have been direct correlations between the JFK assassination and the CIA. Certain names keep on popping up. One of them is Gary Underhill, who had worked for the CIA. And he told friends at one point he feared for his life. And then 6 months later, he was found dead. There are other individuals that have been linked to it that worked in the CIA. On Samuel George Cummings, who operated a weaponry company that was actually a CIA front. George H. Bush was in Dallas on the day of the shooting. There's a lot of things that are coming out. I mean, you're talking about 8,800 pages that's going to be gone through. It has been proven that there was a second gunman. There's a lot of things in here that are going to be coming out in the next couple of months. And it's going to be interesting on what's going to happen. I mean, this is now 60 some odd years after the fact, but the public should be aware of what has been going on in our government. We can't change our government if we do not know what has been going on in the past. How do we fix it and make it work correctly if we don't know what's been going on behind our back? We've got to expose all of this stuff. And it looks like these release of the papers is going to do just that.
Now, does this include Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King?
This is on just is on just JFK alone.
Just JFK?
Think about that. 8,800 pages on JFK alone. And there had been several different hearings. The first hearing, which proved nothing. Then in the 70s, there was the second hearing, which opened up a lot of eyebrows. And it's just been snowballing since then. But again, we can't fix our government if we don't know what's going on. And by exposing this, then we can look at where things have gone wrong and how do we prevent that from happening again in the future. And I've always all along wondered if there was any
8,000 or 80,000?
I believe it was 8,800. It was more than 1,000 classified files related to it.
80,000.
I could have my numbers wrong. I'm not perfect. I could have the numbers wrong. And oh yeah, you are correct. 80,000. So it's actually 88,000 because I know Trump yesterday said today that there was another 8,000 being released. So 88,000 total pages. That's a lot to go through.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is an awful lot to go through. But anyway.
I never written a novel that long.
Oh man. This is an article I came across that was put up in a local online newspaper called yournews.com. And once in a while I post stuff in Your News. I haven't in the last 2 weeks. But according to a High Plains Public Radio survey, they were in Kansas and they were asking them if, quote, now the word they used was migration was important to the economy of the state. And if you think about how they worded this survey, they're asking about the people, their opinion on migration. And then as they go through the article, they change the word from migration to immigration. Now, there's two different meanings, two different words, completely different meanings. Migration is an internal migration, going from, say, for example, New York to Florida. That's a migration. And immigration is when you come from outside a country and come into a country. 2 different countries. That's an immigration. And when they're wording the survey, the people are thinking they're talking about legal migration. And of course, it's going to come out they're favorable to it. Who would not be? To bring better economic growth to the state you live in and to the community you live in, that's great. And if it's done, of course, there's legal migration throughout the United States. You don't have a barrier to wherever you can go. So it's legal to go anywhere within the United States. But if you are immigrating from another country into the United States and you want to stay here, you have to meet certain parameters to prove that you would be in the future a good citizen. That was the purpose of legal immigration. So when they changed the wording in the story, I'm saying, wait a minute. This is how mainstream media pulls the wool over our eyes. You have to, when you read or you listen to these stories, you've got to listen to the words they use, because words do have consequences. So when they changed to immigration, they made it sound like the people in Kansas favored illegal immigration for the economy. No, they favored legal migration. Folks, you got to watch mainstream media if you don't pay attention. Good example is an article the New York Times put out that Elon Musk is over in China to get secret war plans. And I'm sorry, Elon Musk met with Pete Hegseth just before going over, but that does not mean they were discussing war plans with China. So the New York Times printed a fake story. It's happening underneath our very noses. I mean, Elon Musk was going over there to discuss tariffs to see if we can get, some sort of work between, see how we can cut costs here. But no. New York Times suddenly makes it as if we're looking to gain the secret war plans from China. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, folks, that if you're not paying attention, they will actually pull the wool over their eyes. I'm going a mile a minute, my mind, because so much has been going on this past week. Another story I ran into, and this is something I do another podcast called Moms Across America, and this is something we discussed at length. There is a Los Angeles Assembly member, Rick Zuber, who has introduced a bill, and the bill is 1333, and the bill title is titled Crimes Homicide. And it is supposed to help prevent future homicides, help bring down the rate of homicides in California, the state bill. But what it does, in effect, it narrows the criteria of your ability to exert your constitutional right of self-defense. Basically, what they're doing is they're saying that if a criminal decides to break into your home, it is your duty to run and hide, to run and get away, to not confront the perpetrator breaking into your home. If you're accosted on the street and the guy wants to rob you, it is your duty to yield and then run away and not confront and defend yourself, your family, your children, your property. That is basically what the bill does. It strips you of your right of self-defense. Is that not crazy?
Are those people going for this?
Well, there's a Riverside sheriff, Chad Bianco, who found out about this bill and started gaining traction on it. And in effect, it looks like he is going to run for office. He's looking to run for governor. This guy, the Sheriff Chad Bianco, looks to replace Gavin Newsom as the next governor of California. And he's gaining traction. He said, you can't put this bill before. And he has put so much pressure on them that they're trying to reword it. But it's not, hopefully it's not going to go anywhere. But think about that. If California passes a bill that makes it illegal for you to exercise your right of self-defense, self-preservation, what will these other red states do? I'm sorry, blue states. These other blue states, like New York, Connecticut. Wilson, it'll pick up traction if this were to pass. Yeah, we would definitely challenge it. But let's bring on to the show the one, the only, Mark Tapscott, and my face keeps on going in and out. There you are.
Howdy.
How you doing, Mark?
Good. How are y'all?
Oh, we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah,
I
think I have a delay when I speak.
You think
yeah,
you
there's
what?
There's
Curtis,
like a
you
split.
have what?
A delay.
Yeah, there is a couple of second delay.
When I say something,
delay.
Andy
Okay.
hears.
Sorry about that. A lot of people want to delay what I have to say.
So don't use no foul language. Don't use no foul language.
I already had to kick an individual out of the chat room, and unfortunately, that individual happens to be a family member of mine. Yeah, we all have those, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately. Are you going to be talking about the whistleblowers, or are you going to be talking about the Judge Boasberg? What's your surprise for us today?
Well, the Boasberg debacle, I haven't really been following all that close. But the whistleblowers, I assume you're referring to the two IRS guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big story. That's a very important story. And it hasn't gotten nearly the kind of coverage in the big media that it should have. Just the quick summary is these two guys were IRS agents during the Biden administration. They came across an abundance of evidence indicating tax evasion and other stuff by Hunter Biden. And they also encountered all kinds of delays, justified and otherwise, that indicated that somebody didn't want their investigation to go forward. So they went to Congress and went public. They testified before the House Judiciary Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee and laid it all out. And the response of the Biden administration was basically, as it so often is to whistleblowers, they took away all of their important work. They basically put them in a little room with a window looking out at the flag and saying, if that flag moves, you come tell us. Other than that, nothing. Well, that changed when Donald Trump was elected. Both of these guys have been promoted to senior advisor positions in the Secretary of the Treasury's office. And guess what their main duty is? Overseeing reform of the IRS. And that's going to be interesting to follow what they do with that.
Yeah, it's the supervisory special agent Gary Shapley.
It's like cash.
And the other one is Special Agent Joseph Ziegler. And now they're working directly for the Treasury Secretary Scott Bassett. But it's interesting because they're the ones that uncovered the Hunter Biden debacle. Yeah. The suitcase, the IRS scandals, the prostitutes, all that unraveled because of these two guys. And when they tried to prosecute him for his criminal actions, everything got stonewalled.
Or they found multiple cases of where they had requested search warrants for materials relating to Hunter Biden that they were either rejected for ridiculous reasons, or they were granted, but then the name Hunter Biden was erased. So that was a pretty clear indication, somebody doesn't want us to dig into this.
No, they didn't. They didn't at all.
Cover up.
But it's great because Grassley called it the Sunshine Week because it's also the birthday of the Bill of Rights and the passage of the Federal Information Act of 1966 and the Whistle Protection Act of 1989. Yep. But I will throw in that Sunday is the 250th anniversary of Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech by Patrick Henry.
That's right.
It is a monumentous week.
Patrick Henry was quite a guy. He didn't mince his words, whatever. This is Sunshine Week, and I have to say, as a longtime practicing journalist who believes that transparency in government is, the biggest enemy of corruption in government. Because when people can see what's happening, then they can hold people accountable for that. Sunshine Week to me is a great thing, but when the DOGE operation comes along and in a matter of 6 weeks has brought more transparency to more of the federal government than we have seen in any comparable period in American history, you would think all these folks that celebrate, quote unquote, Sunshine Week in the journalism world, all of whom are professing liberals, that they would be shouting hallelujah because they love sunshine. But apparently it's some kinds of sunshine rather than sunshine,
Well, matter of fact, Kash Patel posted up on X earlier that as of today, they have caught the third fugitive on the top 10 most wanted list. Yeah. And he basically said, isn't it amazing what good agents can do when you allow them to do a good job?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no reason why, even given the 8 years, well, it's more than 8 years of corruption growing within the FBI at certain high levels. The guys on the street, the agents, you don't become an FBI agent because you want to get payola. You become an FBI agent because you want to catch the bad guys. And that's what they do. And to have somebody like Kash Patel now in charge to unleash them, I think we're going to see some pretty amazing crime fighting stuff in the next 2 years.
I'm hoping and praying because I remember back in the 90s, I came across a couple of FBI agents, but they were old school guys. Mm-hmm. And it used to be they would recruit at the police departments. Yep. They would look for specifically the Italians and the Irish because they said if anyone can brawl, they can.
Yeah, and like the movie.
But somewhere in the 80s, they started looking for FBI agents with legal backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And then they had the lawyers out there more on the street than actually doing the work.
Yep.
And are we seeing a shift back to good old police work?
I think that'll be one of the results. Absolutely. One of the, Curtis, you're not a lawyer, are you? Curtis, you're not a lawyer? No. Okay.
No. We can't hear the rocks rattle when you shake your head.
Oh, I'm sorry. And you're not, Annie, you're not a lawyer.
No, but my sister is.
Okay, well,
she's a good one.
Maybe I can say what I'm going to say. Lawyers are the worst people in the world to go find crime and fight it. Lawyers prosecute or defend as they should. You need guys that know how to follow and track criminals. That's what an FBI agent should be.
Yeah. Which is what we're finally seeing, which is a great thing. Yeah. We also saw yesterday the signing of the executive order saying to shut down the Department of Education. And that was some ceremony. I mean, that was so adorable with all the kids up there, and each one signed their own executive order.
Yeah. That was a good lesson in how democracy works. The people vote for it, and then the government does it because the people voted for it,
Well, someone had asked me, well, if they close down the Department of Education, does that mean that federal dollars will no longer go to the schools that may need it? And the answer is
no, that does not mean that at all. What it means is the money will be distributed by state governments instead of, and beyond that, local school systems. And in addition to that, there will be a liberation, if you will, of homeschooling in this country. That is, there is nothing more important in so many respects than restoring the quality of education in America. Our public education system has been destroyed, just in 40 years. So, all of these people yelling about, then we won't have any more money and all this money will no longer be available and all these children are going to suffer. No, the bureaucrats who are getting the money now and the unions, the education unions, they're going to suffer. And because they weren't educating children, they were advancing themselves.
Well, it's funny because before COVID broke out, I had a member of my Tea Party asking me as they were leaving one of our meetings, and it was when homeschooling was just getting a real big foothold before COVID broke out.
Mm-hmm.
I think COVID pushed it over the top. But she was asking, well, where can I find like-minded people to homeschool? And there weren't really these pods that we now see throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the COVID epidemic just opened the door for things like that to happen. Yeah. And maybe with the closing of the federal bureaucracy over education, it may allow, as you said, this homeschooling to really now blossom into something. Because you're seeing a higher level of reading and writing, the STEM modules. You see the kids coming out better, brighter, and what's
more
the
engaged.
word I'm trying to not just that, centered. They're not crying for their teddy bear because the wrong person, got elected to office.
Yeah.
They're more centered, they're more focused, they're stable. That's the word I'm thinking about. Stable.
Yeah. Curtis, you started to ask me something and didn't.
Yeah. Okay, we had that recent JFK data dump. Do
Yes.
you think any information in there will take us in another direction, or it's just, it's nothing to it?
I'm like millions of Americans my age. I very vividly remember where I was the moment we learned that John F. Kennedy had been killed in Dallas. And as it happens, a couple of years after that, I happened to have picked up a book by a guy named Mark Lane called Rush to Judgment, which was a critique of the Warren Commission. Yeah. And, boy, it just laid out in so many ways reasons to question the lone shooter explanation. And now a couple of the colleagues at Epoch are literally at the archives today going through those 80,000 pages. And there's a tremendous amount of information that is still redacted, and that's concerning, but I have no doubt that we're going to learn a great deal, and it's not going to be pleasant for some people when that new information comes out.
Excuse me, because it's like 88,000 pages that are coming out, and there was a article up by in Newsweek, also highlighting some of the things that have been going over the years, like the Gary Underhill, his involvement. There was the other one, Samuel George Cummings, the tyings of the CIA to certain businesses such as weapons and things like that. And there's a lot of things that just came out really weird. And I've always wondered how the Kennedy assassination, JFK, was related to his brothers, if they were interwoven. Because now you had one that was the Attorney General at the time of his brother's assassination. What did he know? And how much did that mean if he became president would be then revealed?
Yeah. One of the most interesting things, at least to me, that's come out so far, new stuff, is that memo that Arthur Schlesinger wrote to President Kennedy early in his administration, where he described the CIA as a state within a state, and expressed some pretty profound concerns about the safety of Kennedy. And boy, that was a prescient memo, and it would be priceless to know what specifically tipped off Schlesinger to even look into that, because it's clear from the memo that he did a bunch of digging before he sent the memo to Kennedy. And there's going to be lots of stuff like that people are going to want to know more, and the more we know, the better.
I mean, there's also questions about certain things that happened during the autopsy or prior to the autopsy.
Yep.
There's a lot of information that the public is not aware of. But someone raised the question is that this is something that happened over 60 years ago.
Yep.
How many people are still interested?
Yeah. Well,
how many people care?
I was in the 8th grade in 1963. Yeah, ditto. And, our generation is passing, I know my son's generation there's a lot of them that are certainly aware of the controversy. Probably don't know the details in the same way that our generation does. But there's always going to be historians who are going to be looking into stuff and asking questions. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. And it's going to be a treasure trove. I mean, you can see books and movies now popping out all over the place. Yeah. And now, what else will now Trump release? Will he release information on, as Curtis asked earlier, Martin Luther King's assassination,
I hope so.
Robert F. Kennedy's assassination, the attempted assassination on Trump himself? What information can they release now?
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it interesting that Trump hasn't gotten anything out publicly yet on his, the attempts on his life? The first one to me is, it's a real stretch, to say the least, to conclude that young man acted alone. That's just not credible.
No, because right after it happened, I was getting reports that there was a mysterious car that was nearby.
Yeah.
And with possible ties to radical Islam.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard anything. You heard that too?
Not anything beyond just that claim, and I don't have any idea if it's true or not. But that's out there.
Yeah, because I don't think the kid had the wherewithal or the maturity to think out the entire plan to the extent that he carried it out. No. Why was that one rooftop empty of all the rooftops? Yep. The one in the direct line of sight. Why were the agents under the roof and not on top of it? There's a lot of questions on that.
Yes. And there will be answers. There will be answers.
Yeah, so it is interesting about what is going on. I know you can't stay with this long, but I mean,
I got about another minute or so.
Well, we were talking about Boasberg earlier, and I do another podcast called Moms Across America, and we went into this about, and why is a DC judge reaching into a Texas jurisdiction and plucking a case out of there?
That's the constitutional issue. District court judges only have authority within their district. They don't have this national application stuff. That's going to end up in the Supreme Court, and I suspect probably fairly quickly by the Supreme Court standards. And the court's going to tell them, you guys stay on your own territory.
Yeah, and a district court judge trying to turn around and tell planes in international airspace that they must turn around.
No. And if the Supreme Court doesn't do it, don't forget, the Congress establishes the jurisdiction of every federal court below the Supreme Court. And all Congress has to do is say district court decisions apply only in their districts. And that'll be the end of it.
The third issue is this was basically a military operation, which was supported by police, but it was basically a military. They were removing enemies of the state. Yep. They were declared enemies of the state by the President of the United States, and no one seemed to question that at all. Yep. Therefore, he went after the enemies of the state, put them on military transports, and said, military guys, you do your job. How does that judge have jurisdiction over that?
He doesn't. And the point is not, the point is delay. The point is not to make a genuine constitutional point. The point is to delay Trump in every possible way. That's what it's all about.
The final thing that threw me is Justice Roberts, his statement.
Well, think of this.
It was a difference of opinion. No, it was a fact of law.
Yeah.
Not a difference of opinion. Therefore, he can be impeached, can he not?
Congress can impeach for any reason they want, so long as they can justify it under the Constitution's definition of an impeachable offense. And let's see, they impeached Trump, what, twice? Yeah, they can impeach federal judges, and it's not that difficult. There have been, I think the number is 6 or 7 of them have been impeached over the course of the country, of the history. So, Judge Roberts is, he's got that thing about. Go ahead, Curtis.
Go ahead, Curtis.
No. What I was going to say to the earlier conversation was, can you imagine a federal judge telling Truman to turn the plane around that had the atom bomb?
Yeah, I can hear Harry Truman.
Turn that plane around.
It was not going to happen.
It would be several 4-letter words.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, concerning a place where the sun don't shine.
Well, Mark, it is always a blessing to have you with us. You're scheduled on next time, but it's going to be Good Friday, and we don't broadcast on Good Friday. So let me know if you and Victoria want to switch it to the following Friday or not.
I'm sure we will. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll put you down for that. Okay, great. All right. Well, you have a blessed time and blessed day, and we'll see you just before Easter or after Easter.
After Easter. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you then. Have a blessed Easter.
Annie, Curtis, y'all be good.
You too. Mark Tapscott. God bless.
Right.
The Epoch Times, also with Hill Faith, hillfaith.org. We're waiting for our next guest to call in. Let's just see if I can remind her agent to make sure that she does. Oops, I opened up the wrong thing. And of course, my phone starts to go off like crazy. Anyway, it's always a blessing to have Mark on and have him with us. Here we go. That's we.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Just telling her we're waiting. Maureen.
It still seems like I have a few seconds time delay.
Yeah, you do. Okay, just send a quick message over there. So hopefully our next guest, Maureen Steele, will be dialing in very shortly and be with us. Just a little note for people out there. And also people, thank you for in the chat room. Thank you for all your postings and everything. I'm sorry. I apologize about the one person that was trolling. And unfortunately, like I said, it happened to be a family member, and we will deal with that issue at a later time. But coming up are 3 special elections, 2 in Florida and 1 scheduling soon up in New York District 21. You got Florida District 1 and District 6 coming up. And the election is next week, is it not, Curtis?
Starts tomorrow.
So early voting starts tomorrow for Florida District 1 and
Early
District
voting.
6. So can you tell us what's going on with this? Because we have in Florida District 1, we got Jimmy Petronis is running for that seat, and the other one is Randy Fine for District 6. What's going on out there, Curtis?
Fine. Well, I'm hearing that, because Randy Fine is Trump supported, that it's almost a shoo-in. He's almost a shoo-in. But there are some Republicans who are against Randy Fine for one reason or another. So I'm not sure how that is going to play out. I often wonder, why is it that I can hear kind of like controversy around a candidate that Trump support, and why isn't Trump getting that information, if it's true?
I don't know. Interesting. Very interesting. Just waiting. Oh, she just called her. Make sure that she signs in. Okay. We're waiting for our next guest. So her agent, I got to apologize. It's like I got an itchy nose today. I'm either going to get into a fight or I'm going to kiss a fool. So,
Because
just because
Trump doesn't know every candidate,
So, all right, looks like our guest is starting to come into the green room. So as soon as she gets her camera set up and get herself signed in, we'll bring her on. But right now I got a blank screen. So, Maureen, just turn yourself around. We'll have her up here in a split second, upside down, backwards, in between. And it looks like she's driving somewhere. Let's see if we can get her up onto the stage. I'll give her a few more moments to get herself set up, but we'll bring her on in a minute. So you're saying that some people are against Fine because he is Trump-backed?
Well, because of some things in his past.
Oh.
Some dealings and things like that, some shady dealings.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll see what happens. All right.
You
So
never
let's
know.
bring in.
You never know.
Let's bring in one of the co-founders of American Made Foundation, Maureen Steele. And also we got the back of her head. Maureen. You got to unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi,
there we go.
You have sound.
Yeah, looks like you're heading somewhere. So sorry about that. But welcome aboard. And I'm glad you could join us today.
Great to be here.
I was going over your website, American Foundation, and I got to tell you, for the last 15, now going on 16 years, holy cow, is it really 16 years? I've been running a tea party. You can't hear? She can't hear us. It's on your end, Maureen, because I can hear you. Let me see if I can do something here. I'm looking to see if I can edit her mic settings. We've got you fine, Maureen. We can hear you, but we can hear you, but she can't hear us. She was there for a second. Maureen?
Yeah, I don't think I can hear her now.
No, we heard her for just a split second and then she disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, Maureen, it seems to be a problem on your end. Let's try you bring you back again one more time. All right, and now, we got a blank. We got a blank on Maureen. It seems like she's got a problem on her end. Oh, darn. That's really bad. Let's hope that we can get herself back again. She's having technical difficulties. I'm just gonna make a note. Bear with me, Curtis. So talk about this guy Fine and what's going on with him.
Well, like I said, I hear things about him. I really don't know that much about Fine. It's kind of like just came out of nowhere. But supposedly, that's who Trump is backing and who he wants. And if he gets in, we'll see how he does,
All right.
I mean, so far, all of the people that Trump has backed have, supported him once they got in.
All right, Maureen, can you hear us now?
I can. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Defecation occurs and usually right on top of my head. The more technology advances, the further behind we get.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So as I was saying before, that for the last 16 years now, I have been kept going our tea party. So as I was reading about your website and going through it, it's like, oh, these are the very things that we started to do 16 years ago. And I'm glad that someone is like picking up the ball and running with it again. Tell us about American Made Foundation.
Sure. So the foundation part, it's a two-part endeavor. We have American Made Foundation and then we have American Made Action. So the foundation piece is where we do our documentaries. Ann Vandersteel, my partner in this, put together a marvelous and very informative documentary for like North Carolina and all the malfeasance that was going on there. We also do education. And so that's the 501c3 piece. And then we have the C4, which is American Made Action, which is really the accountability arm. This is where we have, the United law coalition where we have law experts from all over the country that are poised and prepared to start launching lawsuits and going after corrupt judges, going after corruption and really exposing it and making sure people are held accountable for all that's gone on over the last, 4 years, 8 years. So that's pretty much what we're doing. And we're about to launch DOGE, which is really our big endeavor. We'll be announcing it on the front steps of the DOJ in DC. It's the Department of Government Accountability. So that'll be coming soon, and we'll be kind of running parallel with DOGE. Again, just ensuring that, we the people are making sure, running our republic and making sure that accountability happens.
Now, people get involved by going onto your website, correct?
They can on the action, and actually right now our site is under construction today. It'll be live again on Monday, so people can get on there. There's affidavits on there that they can sign to send to Pam Bondi immediately about these corrupt judges. So there'll be action items on there. We'll have monthly newsletters going out, and you can keep abreast of our latest filings. We have a case we filed in October in New Hampshire. It's called the New Hampshire 9 case. So that was a free speech issue. So yes, you'll be able to keep abreast and join in what we're doing, and there'll be live action items there for people to take, because I know that's one of the biggest frustrations for so many people. They see all the corruption and it's like, what can I do? People feel helpless, and so American Made Action actually gives people action items to take.
Going through your website, you also have stuff that you put up on Substack that Ann puts up and you put up. Matter of fact, we're live on Substack right now, one of the many places, as well as Facebook, LinkedIn, X, what am I on? Rumble and whatever else. Where this is something I've been complaining about, that we're allowing too many foreign influences in our government, in our social fabric, in our educational system, into our businesses. And the Monroe document basically said, hands off. We're in control of this hemisphere. Mm-hmm. And you gave great examples about, how much of our different areas that we've had foreign influence crushing us. And I believe it was Lenin that said the best way to destroy America is, I'm paraphrasing, is from within, which is what they're doing.
Yes.
All you need to do is look at these pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, honestly, protests going on like at Columbia University and other places. They're actually trying to tear the very fabric of what makes us so uniquely American.
Oh, no, they absolutely are. And another way that they do it is the breakdown of the American family. Destroy the family. That's the backbone of society, and you can take it over. So while all of us have been, families are working, 2 working parents, kids are in daycare or at school getting indoctrinated, everyone comes home exhausted and does it again the next day. And they have literally, ripped the rug out from under us. They've stolen our country, out from under the American people. And this is where American Made is coming in to say, no, we're going back to, common law. We're going back to, our charters of freedom, and we're going to stand on those, because everything that the bar and the lawyers have created, and Congress, which is mostly made up of lawyers, it's all unconstitutional. So therefore it's null and void. Our charters of freedom say that if anything is repugnant to the Constitution, it's null and void. So so many of the things that they've done are repugnant to the Constitution. Therefore, it should just be disregarded. And so I think the American people really need to start learning how they stole our country and how we can get it back, and what we can do and who we are. If you can picture a pyramid, God is on top, and then that next little triangle is we the people. And then it's the government and corporations and everything else. But we're above everything. The only thing above us is God. And that is how our Constitution was written, and our charters of freedom. So we run the country. The president works for us. We elected him to do our will. And so just in particular to see these judges that are trying to subvert a duly elected president's initiatives on behalf of the American people, it's particularly disgusting. But I think, our corrupt judicial is on such full display right now. And they've really, they're largely responsible for the undermining of our great nation. But we're going to take it back this year, because the truth, it will all come out, I think, in the year 2025. I don't think there'll be too many stones unturned, and we'll be, taking America back.
Well, it's funny because Sunday is the 250th anniversary of the Patrick Henry speech, "Give me liberty or give me death." And just before coming on air, I pulled out a video, which I'm going to be playing at the end of the show, of that speech, the full text of it as with the audio. And when I pulled out the word British and I inserted wokeism, I inserted extreme liberalism, put them in there, and that speech would be so poignant today as it was 250 years ago.
Right.
And that's what we are saying. Give us our liberty back.
Oh,
it's either liberty or death.
Yes. Yeah. And I think a lot of Americans are at that point, but I always have tremendous faith in the American people. And there's no country on earth like us. And the fact that we have the charters of freedom, if we were in another country and we didn't have that, but that gives us all the power that we need, and we can do this together. So I'm confident that we're going to get our great nation back, and everyone will rise.
Oh, from your lips to God's ears. And as I was going through the Monroe Doctrine and thinking to the influences that are going on, Trump signed an executive order today, and I pulled it aside, and it's in this mess of papers here. But that was the other executive order. With the United Arab Emirates, they're making a vast investment here in the United States, and included, here it is, included in that, he's allowing them to go and control parts of our infrastructure dealing with the mining of special minerals. I'm trying to go through, I was going through this really quickly before, dealing with our energy and everything. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute, isn't this exactly what the Monroe Doctrine kind of warned us about? We already have the Chinese government involved in not only corporations, but schools, controlling the classrooms. They did it originally with the, oh, good Lord, brain farts, Confucius schools for kids. They started off there in the elementary schools, and then they got into the universities. But we also see influence of care in our universities also, as well as influencing our boardrooms. And I'm wondering, is Trump going to be making a mistake by inviting all of this foreign investment in our country in areas that are vital to our security? It scares me a little.
I don't like it either. And I don't. And there's some decisions that I see, President Trump making that I agree with. And then there's other things that, just like you, they leave me scratching my head. Like what's going on here? So I really don't know. I mean, that's a wait and see. I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I find that equally as disturbing.
Especially when they're dealing in areas of AI, the artificial intelligence. And we already know how that can influence elections and people's minds. As Dr. Malone writes in his book, Psych War, it's already being done. I'm just wondering if he's opening the door for more of that, which if anyone in his staff is listening to this broadcast, please give him a little caution. There's some areas we're a little concerned about. We're just starting to get a country back. I'm afraid it may backfire on us.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I don't like the foreign influence at all. Trump was always such a populist, and America first, with America first agenda. So I honestly, if that's what he's doing, and I haven't seen what you just notified me about, that is very disturbing.
Yeah, because this one came out as a press release. Titled, "Thanks to President Trump, the UAE announces significant investments in the U.S. economy." It just came out today before I came on air. But you had mentioned, honestly, the judge. And specifically, I'm looking at Boasberg. But Boasberg and Chutney, and there's the third one. All three were also involved in the J6 trials. And every last person that came before them was found guilty and sentenced to prison. One woman for misdemeanors that he put her behind bars for 14 months. I'm sorry, that raises it to a felony if you sentence someone to 14 months. A felony is 1 year or more, misdemeanor less than 1 year.
Yes. Yeah.
And now they're involved in the immigration problems.
Mm-hmm. Now our judicial system is rotting from the inside. It's wildly corrupt, and I think, you see it every day. That Judge Boasberg in particular that you just mentioned, Justice Roberts, and there was 3 other judges that it came out yesterday that they're part of this little club, the Legal In Club or something like that, or American In Club. And, you can't have that. I mean, I wrote a response to it immediately. It's undermining our government. It's treasonous. And the fact that they're all anti-Trump. I mean, here's a Supreme Court justice who's in a private club to try to undermine a duly elected president's agenda. This is off the rails. So you can't have, equal justice. You can't have faith in the justice system when we see this level of corruption. But again, because we have the charters of freedom, it says if something gets this corrupt where it's irredeemable, which I think we're at that point with our judicial system, it's off the rails corrupt. You have to abolish it and start over. So in my mind, I think every judge on every bench should be booted off. The lower courts should be abolished altogether. The administrative courts that are unconstitutional. Even the Solicitor General on February 20th, 2025 came out with a notice saying that these lower
Maureen.
courts. Pardon me?
Go ahead, Curtis. He's got a slight delay. Matter of fact, I think his camera
Maureen.
froze.
Oh, okay.
You go ahead.
Withstanding Judge Roberts, do you think the rest of the conservatives on the Supreme Court, have it within them to rein in these progressive judges?
Well, I don't think the Supreme Court needs to. I was saying that the Solicitor General had put out a notice on February 20th, basically to abolish that the president has the right to abolish all the lower courts. But these judges are criminals. They're criminals in black robes. Whenever you war against the Constitution, you're warring against the American people, and that is treason. It's the very definition of it. So these judges need to be removed from the bench, and we the people, like I said, are above everybody. We're at a point now though where I think it was Roberts who said, well, you have to go through a process. None of our charters of freedom say that. This was all stuff that Congress and the bar all created so that they could hold on to their jobs and forever, and to make it really difficult to get them out. And that's how it's gotten this corrupt. It's been generations of this nonsense. So, we have to just abolish the system, I think, and go back to common law courts, back to a jury of your peers. When our founding fathers wrote the Declaration of Independence and described our legal system in that system of checks and balances, you have to look at it. What was the spirit in which it was written? They never wrote that thinking, and if someone steals money from you or, takes a car and didn't pay for it and you need to sue them to get your money, it's going to cost you $50,000 to go get justice, to get $10,000 worth of justice. So you can't get justice. And that's not how our system was designed. There was no lawyers then, per se, where you're represented by someone else. You go in and you represent yourself and tell the truth. And a jury of your peers, people in your town who knew you, would listen to both sides of the story and decide who's right and what the damages are or what have you. And that's a true justice system. The Bar Association, these lawyers, these judges have turned the legal system. Well, just think of this. The divorce industry, $60 billion a year industry. That's just divorce courts. You got CPS and child welfare courts. That's an $80 billion a year industry. So this is a money-making machine. This is not a justice system anymore. We've watched it with the J6ers, like you said, Ian, people getting incarcerated. I mean, this is third world country stuff we're witnessing right out of our own, our own justices here. So it's got to stop. But it's totally within President Trump's power to ouster these people. And if you go and read the Solicitor General's her notice. It's, they basically say that, and that the DOJ will no longer be standing in and defending any of these judges that are brought up on charges or anything like that in these lower courts that are 100% unconstitutional.
Well, between what the two of you said, there were about 1,000 things just went through my mind. And I want to go back to Justice Roberts. Under the Obama administration, when I saw his actions, I've often wondered whether or not he had been compromised in some way. But you mentioned he's a member of this exclusive club. I'm wondering if that may have been some influence on him under the Obama administration. And then when he made the statement just yesterday that it was a difference of opinion and not impeachable, I wanted to scream bloody blue murder. No, that was not a difference of opinion, what Boasberg did. It was an impeachable offense because here he is, a district judge in the D.C. Baltimore area, reaching out of his jurisdiction and taking a case in Texas that he has no jurisdiction over, and then making a ruling before any evidence or any court case was brought before him, ordering planes in international airspace to turn around, planes under the control of a military in a military operation. And I'm going, and you're calling that a difference of opinion?
Yeah, no, he stepped way out of the bounds of what his authority is. He has no authority to do that. President Trump is 100% within his rights to do what he did. First of all, it's the will of the American people that he do that. Second of all, we're supposed to protect our country. These are violent criminals in our country that we're trying to get rid of. And so, no, he doesn't have the right to do that. President Trump has it under Article 2. It's totally within his rights. But one of the other things that I find so amazing about this case in particular is the ACLU brought this case. And there's some standing case law. Hawk is one of the cases that if you have a nonprofit organization and one of your primary charters is that you defend immigrants, which is what ACLU hung their hat on. You protect immigrant rights. So that's why he let them bring this case in the first place. They don't have standing. If someone punches you in the face, I can't bring a lawsuit for you. I'm suing on Ann's behalf. I can't do that. I don't have any standing. So the ACLU didn't have standing. So they said, well, they're immigrants and we're protecting immigrants' rights. I don't think there's a sane person in this country that is going to look at these violent criminals who didn't go through the immigration system. Hence, they are not immigrants. They are foreign invaders.
Right, they're illegals.
They are criminals.
Illegals.
Right. So the ACLU had no standing on behalf of immigrants and we protect immigrants. These aren't immigrants. If this was some family that filled out their paperwork and had been here and they're being discriminated against or something, absolutely, the ACLU should be there protecting their rights because they're here legally. But, and the other threshold you have to meet for an immigrant is that they're here permanently, or they believe they're here permanently. These people weren't here permanently. I mean, we were paying for their apartments, our tax dollars were paying for that. These people weren't here working and setting up families and we're coming here to stay and helping to make America great again. These are criminals. And so this judge had no right to do what he did. And the ACLU has absolutely no standing in this case. So that's my legal opinion on this for what it's worth.
Well, see, I wouldn't even call them illegal immigrants. They're illegal aliens because they're alien to this nation. And as you stated, did not come through an immigration process.
Right. So they're not immigrants. And so therefore ACLU has no standing.
Well, we're going to see this. Most likely it will be taught out under multiple reasons, mostly because of the jurisdiction. But we're also finding a lot of that, as I mentioned before, we're involved with the J6. And it's amazing that every single case that came before them dealing with J6 was found guilty.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you get 100% conviction rate? I'm sorry, that doesn't happen.
It doesn't, and it's absurd, and everyone sees it. Again, all the more reason, excuse me, to abolish our judicial system. It has become so corrupted. It is irredeemable. We have, there's snakes everywhere, and the only way to ensure that we start fresh and that we do have a good justice system is to, abolish the corrupt system we have, and bring back the common law courts and all of that, because there's so many people that are bought and paid for. We're seeing it left every day. DOGE comes out with more money laundering and where the money's going and all of that. I was just looking at something the other day, and it was this program CICP, and it was this fund for the vaccine injured people. And so I'm looking at it and going, okay, so the American people pay for the defense of the criminals, the state actors, or, we pay for that. And then this fund, the CICP fund, it's funded by our tax dollars too. So even if, the federal employees lose, I mean, they don't lose anything. They don't have to pay their legal fees. We do. And then if there's damages that get paid, it comes out of a fund. We fund it. So what is there to make these people, to deter these people from doing it again? It doesn't cost them anything. There is no punishment at all. So again, this is how gross our system is, and the judges and the justices, they all know how this is working. The NGOs, I mean, just think about this. Back in July of 2024, Gorsuch came out with the Chevron deference. All of the justices ruled on it, and they said these agencies have no power anymore. They can't decide law. They can't make law. It's back to the judges now to look at all this stuff and decide on their own. And the judges don't. They still let CPS come in and dictate, when they know that the Supreme Court ruled you can't do that anymore. And what's even more fascinating is that the Supreme Court doesn't enforce it. No one does anything to get these judges that are still using or like honoring these agencies like they're the end all be all, and like they actually have some kind of say. This is all unconstitutional. This is all warring against the American people. And so, American Made Foundation has had it. We've all had it. It's time to take, some real action here.
Absolutely. Well, Maureen, I see that you're on your way to somewhere, so I'm not going to hold you up any bit longer. We'd love to have you back on the show. And American Made Foundation is a great organization. You're doing great work. And I'd love to see how you can work with our tea parties, because some of us still exist.
All right. Well, great. Well, thanks so much, Anne.
All right. God bless. And thank you. Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.
Oh, what a wonderful person. Yep. We got just a couple of minutes left here. And as I said before, let me get the camera. I hate every time I move the cursor, my camera goes in and out. But the reason why I want to end the show in this manner, I want to play the Patrick Henry speech. And I want our listeners, as they listen to this, think about it. Everywhere we put in the word, he puts in the word king. Everywhere he puts in the word the British, everywhere he puts in about those who are oppressing the colonists, or as he said, the members of this country, these United States that were forming at that point in time. Think about that and then put in your own word there, whether it is wokeism, whether it is the deep state, whether it is extreme liberalism. In your own mind, make that Patrick Henry speech your speech, and see how it is as important today as it was 250 years ago. If he were to stand here today, and he would only have to scratch out a couple of places and put in the liberal left, the deep state, and all this that we have been just talking about. So folks, I'm going to end early. I'm thanking you all for watching and listening, but I'm going to play the Patrick Henry speech, Give Me Liberty, Give Me Death, that he spoke about. It was unscripted. He sat there listening to the members debate on the floor when he got up, and he said these words.
No man thinks more highly than I do of the patriotism as well as abilities of the very worthy gentlemen who have just addressed the House. But different men often see the same subject in different lights, and therefore I hope it will not be thought disrespectful to those gentlemen if, entertaining as I do opinions of a character very opposite to theirs, I shall speak forth my sentiments freely and without reserve. This is no time for ceremony. The question before the House is one of awful moment to this country. For my own part, I consider it as nothing less than a question of freedom or slavery, and in proportion to the magnitude of the subject ought to be the freedom of the debate. It is only in this way that we can hope to arrive at truth, and fulfill the great responsibility which we hold to God and our country. Should I keep back my opinions at such a time, through fear of giving offense, I should consider myself as guilty of treason towards my country, and of an act of disloyalty toward the majesty of heaven, which I revere above all earthly kings. Mr. President, it is natural to man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against a painful truth and listen to the song of that siren till she transforms us into beasts. Is this the part of wise men engaged in a great and arduous struggle for liberty? Are we disposed to be of the number of those who, having eyes, see not, and having ears, hear not, the things which so nearly concern their temporal salvation? For my part, whatever anguish of spirit it may cost, I am willing to know the whole truth, to know the worst, and to provide for it. I have but one lamp by which my feet are guided, and that is the lamp of experience. I know of no way of judging of the future but by the past, and judging by the past, I wish to know what there has been in the conduct of the British ministry for the last 10 years to justify those hopes with which gentlemen have been pleased to solace themselves and the House. Is it that insidious smile with which our petition has been lately received? Trust it not, sir. It will prove a snare to your feet. Suffer not yourselves to be betrayed with a kiss. Ask yourselves how this gracious reception of our petition comports with those warlike preparations which cover our waters and darken our land. Are fleets and armies necessary to a work of love and reconciliation? Have we shown ourselves so unwilling to be reconciled that force must be called in to win back our love? Let us not deceive ourselves, sir. These are the implements of war and subjugation, the last arguments to which kings resort. I ask, gentlemen, sir, what means this martial array, if its purpose be not to force us to submission? Can gentlemen assign any other possible motive for it? Has Great Britain any enemy in this quarter of the world to call for all this accumulation of navies and armies? No, sir, she has none. They are meant for us. They can be meant for no other. They are sent over to bind and rivet upon us those chains which the British ministry have been so long forging. And what have we to oppose to them? Shall we try argument? Sir, we have been trying that for the last 10 years. Have we anything new to offer upon the subject? Nothing. We have held the subject up in every light of which it is capable, but it has been all in vain. Shall we resort to entreaty and humble supplication? What terms shall we find which have not been already exhausted? Let us not, I beseech you, sir, deceive ourselves. Sir, we have done everything that could be done to avert the storm which is now coming on. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated ourselves before the throne, and have implored its interposition to arrest the tyrannical hands of the ministry and Parliament. Our petitions have been slighted, our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult, our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of the throne. In vain, after these things, may we indulge the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve inviolate those inestimable privileges for which we have been so long contending, if we mean not basely to abandon the noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged, and which we have pledged ourselves never to abandon until the glorious object of our contest shall be obtained, we must fight. I repeat it, sir, we must fight. An appeal to arms and to the God of hosts is all that is left us. They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an adversary. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be the next week, or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed, and when a British guard shall be stationed in every house? Shall we gather strength by irresolution and inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusive phantom of hope until our enemies shall have bound us hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak if we make a proper use of those means by which the God of nature hath placed in our power. The millions of people, armed in the holy cause of liberty, and in such a country as that which we possess, are invincible by any force which our enemy can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations, and who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. The battle, sir, is not to the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, the brave. Besides, sir, we have no election. If we were base enough to desire it, it is now too late to retire from the contest. There is no retreat but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard on the plains of Boston. The war is inevitable, and let it come. I repeat it, sir, let it come. It is in vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace. But there is no peace. The war is actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God! I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty, or give me death.